Hi everyone. Hi from everyone at Satchel. Welcome to our webinar today. My name's Hannah and I'm a Product Specialist for Satchel, based in Newcastle. I'm going to be a presenter for today. This is our second in-house webinar. The first one was on the 5 keys to successful homework, and that's on our YouTube channel, so if you want to check that out a little bit later, then that would be great. So today we're going to be exploring some of the strategies and techniques for effective classroom management. We've learned all of these things from support in 1 and 3 UK secondary schools over the past 9 years now. So this webinar was prompted by an overwhelmingly positive response to our effective classroom management guide, and we're going to be sharing that with you after this webinar as well in our free download pack, and you can also check it out on our site as well. So feel free to have a mooch around there and see if you can find things that are really interesting to you. Okay, so thanks for joining us today, and I think we'll just make a start. Okay, so first of all, to understand what classroom management is, we're going to have a chat through. Classroom management is when a teacher exhibits complete control over their classroom through a series of strategies and techniques that encourage positive student behaviour. The practice of classroom management turns your classroom into the optimum learning environment for your students, so that means they can engage really well with their studies and work to the best of their personal abilities. Classroom management is individual to the teacher, dependent on their personality, their teaching style, and also it's impacted by year group and subject. As a result, this means there's not a secret formula to get in the perfect environment and conditions every time, but there are some core pillars which make up the basics of good classroom management. Classroom management is at the heart of teaching, and ultimately it does affect your students' learning outcomes, both good and bad. Classroom management, when it's good, cultivates a thriving learning environment with dedicated students, and classroom management, when it doesn't work so well, it is detrimental to student achievement and development. But no matter how dedicated you are as a teacher, how passionate you are about your students and your subjects, your good intentions won't always achieve the outcomes that you want unless you have control of your classroom. So let's have a look at some pointers here. Good classroom management creates an environment for students that allows them to learn without distractions. It reduces poor behaviour, so students are all focused on their learning. It facilitates social and emotional development. It promotes positive interactions between peers and hopefully decreases bullying. It allows for more time to be focused on teaching and learning, and it also facilitates autonomous learning as well. Okay, and on the other hand, we have bad classroom management. So this can lead to a really disruptive and chaotic classroom environment, which contributes to teacher stress and ultimately burnout. There can be a lack of focus on teaching and a hostile environment for learning as well. Students can be unclear about what's expected of them. If we overpraise students, then this can result in lowered expectations, and ultimately we can see a lack of rules, a lack of routine, and a lack of preparation, which all culminates in quite a negative classroom situation. So there are some ways that we can kind of remedy that. So today we're going to look at how we can prep, plan, and praise. Okay. So, with regards to preparation, we're going to look at behaviour and lesson plans. Positive behaviour is at the core of good classroom management, and it's arguably the most complex area to perfect. So we're going to discuss how best to prepare your students so that they're aware of the type of behaviour you're going to expect from them. So, first we need to define. In order to achieve and promote good behaviour, you must first define what good behaviour actually means to you and how you're going to expect that to manifest in your classroom. So again, this is going to differ vastly depending on the kind of teacher you are, the year group that you're teaching, and also the subject. So a PE lesson and a science lesson are going to look completely different, of course. We'll have different expectations and rules. Then we're going to observe. So all classes and students are different, we know this, and as a result, we're going to have different behaviours that we see that might contradict your classroom rules. So before you start to enforce your behavioural expectations, it's really useful to give yourself some time to just identify what kind of behaviours your classes are prone to exhibiting. We'll want to just observe them and tailor your policy according to the behaviours that they're likely to exhibit. Then we're going to outline. So draw up your class's behaviour policy, but take into consideration what you consider to be good behaviour, the types of behaviour that you want to rectify within your class, and also please be mindful of your school's behaviour policy and those expectations, because we want to make sure that we're being aligned with the bigger picture. Then it's important to communicate. It's so important. In order for the students to behave in line with those expectations that we've set out for them, they've got to be aware of what's expected of them and reminded regularly. So they need to know what rewards and sanctions are going to come as a result of positive or negative behaviour. And we can achieve all of this by effectively communicating the behaviour policy to all students and referencing it regularly throughout the year. So this just breeds consistency and continuity, and it means that we're not setting students up to fail by kind of giving them little bits of information here and there. We want them to see the big picture as well. And finally, accountability is so important. Students are much more likely to behave well if they respect who you are as a teacher and if they feel that there's mutual respect between you. So when you communicate with your class about what you expect from them, it's a good idea to give them some ideas about what they should expect from you and how you should be acting as well. It needs to be a bit of give and take in a two-way street. So with that in mind, we've created a whole school behaviour policy checklist, and that gives explicit reference to classroom management and how you can promote positive behaviour. And that's all going to be part of the download pack that's free at the end of this webinar. So feel free to use this as a guideline for creating your own classroom behaviour policy, or if you were going to review or develop your school's existing behaviour policy as well. So feel free to make use of that. Okay, so now we're going to move into lesson plans a little bit more. So when you have a carefully constructed lesson, it minimises the opportunity for classroom distractions, and when it's executed well, it means that students are kept on task and they're much more engaged. So some of the benefits that we're going to talk about here. A well-created lesson plan, it gives teachers confidence, and we all know that when we go into a lesson, we want to feel assured of what we're going to be teaching and we want to feel in control. So spending time creating a lesson plan that hits all of the success criteria is really important, and we can be confident in the lesson that we're about to deliver. Keeping students on task is a brilliant outcome of lesson plans. So a carefully executed lesson plan will include some intricate timings, and that's about how long students are going to take to carry out activities, but it also means that you can deliver information at the right pace as the teacher. We want to make sure that there aren't any lulls throughout the lesson and that students don't become distracted. And finally, we want to come to class prepared. That's the aim of all of this. The beauty of planning ahead is that it means that before you come to class, you're aware of all of the resources that you're going to need to execute a brilliant lesson, and it means that you're not going to have any mad rushes scouting around for bits and pieces, bits of paper or pens. You know exactly what you need, and you've got all of that prepared in advance. So, here at Satchel, we want to provide you with the most up-to-date and relevant information. So the way that we do that is we work closely with real teachers who share their invaluable insight. And on this occasion, we've got some information from Stephen Miles from Daubeny Academy, and he has shared with us some information about what he thinks is crucial for creating a good lesson plan. This was actually originally a guest blog written for us by Stephen, so if you want to have a look at that on the site, then you're more than welcome to do so and get a bit of extra information there. But the key points that Stephen shared with us are that you should keep your plans simple and build from a foundation that both you and your students understand. You should take your time when you're planning and allow that same time for your students as well to make sure that they have ample time to absorb information and to process that. You should also plan for learning to not just be limited to the classroom, but also to extend beyond the lesson as well, because that again kind of aids with the retention of information. And you should get to know your students personally, because this shows that you value them as people and that you're invested in their education as well, which is really important for them to be aware of. So again, just referring back to the post-webinar pack that we're going to be sharing with you, there's a lesson plan template in there as well. And this includes relevant prompts that are going to help to guide you through planning your lessons. That's going to be included with the behaviour policy checklist as well, so make good use of that. Okay, so obviously because of the nature, this is a webinar, so some people might have just joined us partway through. I'll just quickly recap what we've been talking about so far. So we've looked at the techniques and strategies for effective classroom management and the importance of preparing before the lesson to ensure that we have good plans and that we're going to deliver high quality lessons. This eliminates unnecessary stress for teachers, it minimises the likelihood of distractions, and it keeps our students on task as well. We've looked at how best to establish a high quality and consistent behaviour policy within the teaching environment. And now I just want to let everyone know that we're going to be answering some questions in the comments section. So if you wanted to ask any particular questions, then please feel free to contribute in the comments and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, so next we're going to be looking at the importance of seating plans. So let's move on. Okay, so seating plans can help you construct and control your classroom. They're one of the best preventative measures a teacher can use to respond to challenge and behaviour. So, when we're thinking about seating plans, we need to be mindful of a few different components. We need to think about the layout. So practically speaking, this will vary from teacher to teacher, but some key considerations are that all students should need a clear view of the board. We want, as a teacher, to be able to direct the whole class from the front, and we also need to make sure that there's enough space so we can navigate the classroom and provide one-to-one support to students easily. Medical needs. This is really important. We need to take note before conducting seating plans of any students with hearing or visual impairments, any students with a medical pass who need to be in and out of the classroom quickly. And we also need to ensure that the space is wheelchair accessible as well. It's also really worth noting that taking into consideration allergies of your students and long-term illnesses, it would be really prudent to do that because it just means that we're able to provide the best possible quality of care for the students in the class. Inclusion data. So this could be predicted grades, information about students who have English as an additional language, or people premium status, or students with special educational needs as well. This all needs to be taken into consideration and ensure the right amount of support is given to students, not just from you as the teacher, but also from their peers as well. Then it's important to take into account the individual student. So of course there's often classroom politics and there's different friendship groups. We want to know who the student does and doesn't get along with, because this does have a big impact on their learning experience and success. And finally, consistency. So seating plans are difficult to master and they do require a lot of trial and error. Sharing notes and experiences with your colleagues though can be really helpful. You can see what's gone particularly well for them and what's gone particularly well for you, and you can kind of find some happy mediums there. So as I said, creating a seating plan, it does take a lot of time and effort, but the rewards that you can reap in the long run are brilliant. So there are online tools designed to help you with this, and one of those is the Satchel seating app. So with Satchel seating, you can set out the layout of your classroom very easily and just drop your students in there. You can have it sync with your MIS so that the inclusion data is there and you can factor that in when you're creating plans. You can add personal comments so that you can track some information about your students in their notes. And you can optimize seating arrangements as well very easily to further streamline the process. And most recently, we've got an exciting development here, but we now can have live attainment data on seating plans. So this means that we can see a student's reading level or their effort level or their attainment level in any lesson, and this can be included in your plan and it can be exported in the PDF as well. So this is quite exciting for us to have this new layer. It gives you just a bit more depth of information about your students so you can be aware of that as you're teaching. So if you're interested in taking a look at the seating app and the new changes that have been implemented there, then do give us a call or respond via an email, and we'd love to give you a demo of that as well. Okay. So praise is what we're going to look at now. As mentioned earlier, positive behaviour is at the core of good classroom management, and we want to make sure that we're encouraging positive pupil behaviour. So when praise is used effectively, it can improve not only the behaviour of students, but also their attainment. And when it's used ineffectively, it can have a really detrimental effect on students' behaviour and attainment as well. So one of the most common misconceptions about praise is the more the better, and there's lots of teachers that fall into this trap, but we've outlined some of the negative effects of overpraising below. So it can lose its meaning. When we dish out positive feedback in excess, we run the risk of praise becoming meaningless to students. So if they hear the same compliments and praise consistently, it can become like white noise, and it also makes it very difficult for students to differentiate between a generic pat on the back for something that they do day to day and when they've done something that's really exceptional, that's really praiseworthy. So an oversaturation of praise can also lower the expectations of students. So when your class is used to hearing praise for even the slightest of achievements, it lowers the bar, and the students aren't inclined to work so hard to seek the approval of the teacher. And finally, behaviour can actually remain the same. So when used effectively, praise can help to reinforce positive behaviour in the classroom, but when it's used in excess, praising students if you praise students too much, it can mean that there's not the meaning there, and the whole concept can become lost and behaviour won't improve. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at how to make your praise smart using the SMART target. So we want praise to be specific. When recognising positive behaviour, it's really important that the feedback you provide to your students is descriptive. So generic well done or great work, it doesn't really encourage specific actions, but if we can keep praise action orientated, then that's really exciting. We're letting students know when they've made positive social or academic actions, and we're hoping that that's going to show them how we want them to continue to behave as well. We want praise to be measurable. Incentives for positive student behaviour can be achieved through merits or house points or any other form of rewards, and it's brilliant because it gives students an idea of what they should be aiming for, but also, more importantly, it helps us to identify students who are lacking in praise, because it's important that we should be boosting them up and giving them more support as well. So there are online tools which can help with the tracking and giving of praise as well, and one of those is our Satchel Kudos program. And this allows teachers to easily add and deduct points based on positive or negative behaviour, and this is communicated with parents through the app and the site as well. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, please get in touch with us as well. Praise needs to be agreed. When you create a behaviour policy, you're entering into an agreement with your students. So it's important that you follow through with rewards and sanctions in accordance with the guidelines that you together have agreed. And praise should be realistic. It should be given when it's well deserved, and this raises the benchmark for quality. And while we want expectations to be high for behaviour, we also need to make sure that they are realistic. And it needs to be time-based. Praise needs to be delivered at the time when a positive action has been observed. Rewarding a good behaviour days or weeks after it's happened isn't as effective. Okay. Isaac, could I have that paper, please? Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at positive behaviour management. So in terms of classroom management, arguably the most powerful use of praise is positive reinforcement for good behaviour. So when we acknowledge and applaud positive actions, as opposed to focusing on the students who might be misbehaving, we're encouraging those types of behaviour publicly and hoping that other students will follow suit. So this can have a profound impact on your classroom, and when students are well behaved, there are fewer disruptions in the class, which means that there's more time left for you to provide direction. Students will have more time to spend on tasks, and there's also been indications that a well-behaved class has increased academic responses. Successful use of behaviour-specific praise makes for efficient and effective lessons. Not to mention that the use of genuine praise builds students' confidence and helps them to achieve their personal potential. Okay. So, thank you very much for tuning in. For those of you who joined halfway through or just caught the end there, we'll be emailing you a link to the webinar in full. And this webinar is going to remain on our YouTube channel as well, so you can refer back to it in your own time. Thank you to everyone who's been commenting with any questions. We're just going to have a little look through some of those now. So can you give personalised praise linked to homework tasks on Show My Homework? So yes, you can. A really nice way of delivering personalised praise to an individual or to a group is through the assess function on homework. So this means if you go to a piece of homework and click on the assess tab, you'll see a list of all the students in that class, and you can check just one student or you can check the whole class if you want to and press add comment. And this is just a really nice way of you to offer a little bit more support, or you could tell them what a brilliant job they've done on a piece of homework and really give them that encouragement. And this will be visible on the app for the student and the parent, and it will prompt a push notification as well so that they can get that information and feel really proud of themselves. And the other question that we've had is, what new attainment data is available on the Seton app update and how does it work? So as I mentioned before, we do have new attainment data on the Seton app, and this basically works by the school choosing what kind of data they want to include. You can just contact Satchel and let us know, and then we'll make those pieces of criteria available to you on the Seton plan. You can have 2 pieces of criteria visible on your Seton plan at any one time, so that might be an effort level and an attainment level in a subject of your choice. And as I said before, that's exportable by PDF. So there's all that information there. So please do get in touch with us if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that. Okay, so I think that's about it. Please do make use of the resource packs that we're going to be sending out to you afterwards. And please do get in touch if there's anything that we can help you with, and if there's any demos that you would like to see. And finally, just thank you all for tuning in today. It's lovely to spend a bit of time with you, and I hope that you've enjoyed it and found it useful. And please do get in touch with us if you've got any ideas about what you'd like to see in future, because we'd love to see, to have some more webinars and to make sure that we're meeting your needs and being aware of what you want to learn and what you want to be hearing from us. So I think that's about everything. Thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.